So in this video, we'll be discussing carboxylic acids, acid anhydrides, esters, and acid chlorides. We'll also discuss amides, amines, and derivatives of hydrogen sulfide, which are the thiols and the sulfides. Okay? So for carboxylic acid, this is the main functionality. Okay? Makikita nyo na that's a COOH. Okay? So that COOH is indicative of a carboxylic acid functional group. So how do you name carboxylic acids? So kapag simple carboxylic acids lang, you just determine the number of carbons including the carboxyl carbon. Okay? So for this example, this is an F. Okay? Ethanoic acid. Okay? Kasi that's a 2-carbon carboxylic acid. So you can also call this acetic acid because that's the common name of ethanoic acid. Okay? So other examples, you can call this, okay, a propanoic acid, okay, because it has 3 carbons. Okay? Kung may substituent siya, for example, methyl. Okay? So this one is 1, 2, 3, 4. So this will be a 3-methyl, okay, substituent. So you call this a 3-methyl butanoic acid. Okay? So that's how you name carboxylic acids. So next is yung acid anhydrides. So what are acid anhydrides? Anhydrides are derivatives of carboxylic acid na imbis na H, okay, or imbis na OH yung group niya, it's another acyl group. Okay? So we can see here na pareho lang sila na merong carboxylate. Ayan, itong group na to. Pero imbis na H, it's another acyl group. So naming this compound will require naming for an acyl substituent. So paano nini-name to? For example, this one, okay, this can be named ethanoic anhydride because of its symmetric character, kasi may dalawang klase ng acid anhydride. So symmetric, okay, kapag symmetric, pareho yung R1 and R2. So paano pagka hindi siya symmetric, or how will we name this the other way? So nakikita nyo na yung naming na to. This is an acetic anhydride, okay, because it contains 2 acetyl groups. Okay, yun yung kanyang feature. You can also call this ethanoyl, okay, because of the ethanoyl acyl group. Okay, and the one here is ethanoate. So but ethanoyl, ethanoate. So ethanoyl is intended for the acyl group only, while the ethanoate is intended for the conjugate base of ethanoic acid. So since this is ethanoic acid, yung kanyang conjugate base, kumbaga, ay ethanoate, diba? So, ito yun. That's an ethanoate. Okay? So, kumbaga, we name this consistent with the Chem 18 way of naming conjugate bases. Okay? So, pero in this case, these are carboxylic acids and derivatives. Okay? So, next is an acyl halide. So, ganun din, because it contains an acyl group. Okay? So, for example, this is a propanoyl group because it's an acyl group which contains 3 carbons. So propanoyl, and this is a chloride. Ayan. Madali lang. Okay? So another example. Okay. Cl, lagyan natin ng substituent. So, lagi tayong magsa-start dun sa carboxyl carbon or sa acyl carbon. 1, 2, 3, 4. So, this is 2 methyl, okay, butanoyl, kasi 4, chloride. So, don't forget the space, okay, between the butanoyl and the chloride. So, that's how you name acyl halides. Okay? So, next is the amide. So, amides, okay, contain this particular group. Again, this is still acyl. Okay? Acyl pa rin yan. And this is an amide. So, ang naming natin dito is instead of the propanoyl amide, so we fuse them to form the propanamide. So, this is the propanamide. Okay? So, next example. Kunyari, cyclic. Okay? Okay. So, this is a cyclopentyl. Okay? This is this is a cyclopentyl carbonamide. Okay? Hindi siya cyclopentylamide. This is a carbonamide group. This carbon is separate from this cyclopentyl group. Okay? So, another example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, NH2. Okay? So, we have, for example, meron tayong ethyl group dito. We know that this is the longest chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, we have 6 carbons, okay, dun sa group. And at position number 3, makakakita tayo ng ethyl group. So, this is a 3 ethyl, okay, hexanamide. Okay, so that's 4 amides. So, next is an ester. Again, this is a acyl group. Okay? Pero this time, ang division natin kapag ester, we have this, okay, the carboxyl group. Okay? Tapos, ito yung alkyl group. So, ang naming natin dito is yung alkyl muna and then the carboxylate. So, as an example, this is a methyl group and this is a propanoate group. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Kaya ang name niya ay methyl propanoate. Okay, so that's how you name esters. So, ang unahin nyo, yung alkyl group muna. Okay, this alkyl group. And then you name the carboxylate group. Tapos, don't forget the space. Okay? Nitriles naman. Nitriles are C triple bond N. And ang mga nitriles, para lang din siyang mga alcohols or alkyl halides. They can have various positions dun sa pairing chain. So, for example, ito. Propane nitrile. Since the propane nitrile contains 3 carbons. So, kapag ganito ang naming mo, i-include mo yung carbon dun sa nitrile. Okay? So, 1, 2, 3. Kaya siya propane nitrile. Kapag naman cyano, this is the whole cyano group. Okay? Hindi mo na i-include yung C na to dun sa bilang. Kaya ethane lang to. Okay? So, another example. Bawa ganyan. Okay? So, hindi mo siya po pwedeng tawaging butane nitrile. Okay? Or, kasi, yung nitrile dito ay nasa position 2. Kumbaga, yung nitrile dito ay substituent. So, mas okay, or mas convenient, na tawagin na lang natin siyang 2-cyanobutane. Okay? Hindi natin siya pwedeng tawagin na pentane nitrile. Okay? Kasi, hindi siya tulad ng ganitong nitrile na ang CN ay nasa mismong chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? This is the pentane nitrile. Okay? This is the 2-cyanobutane. Sa 2-cyanobutane, hindi kasama yung C ng nitrile. Pero sa pentane nitrile, kasama yung C ng nitrile. Okay? So, kung personally, I'll use this naming, okay? Kasi it treats the cyano group as a substituent. So, mas madali nang magbilang ng pairing chain. Okay? So, kung nasa position 1 siya, huwag mo niya lang isama yung C nun sa nitrile kung ganito yung naming na gagawin nyo. Okay? So, that's for nitrile. So, for amines, we have primary amine, secondary, and tertiary amine. So, pag primary amine, yung N mo nakakabit sa isang carbon ng alkyl group. Kapag secondary naman, nasa dalawang alkyl group nakakabit yung N. Okay? So, tertiary, sa tatlong alkyl group. So, this is an example. This is a hexanamine. Okay? So, what if it's a secondary amine? So, halimbawa, okay, ganyan. Tapos, H. So, pipiliin nyo yung longest chain pa rin naman. So, the longest chain here is the ethyl group. Okay, hindi nyo sasama to sa chain. Okay, because this is a methyl group that is attached to the N. So, instead, we'll name this as N-methyl, okay, ethanamine. So, ethanamine, ito, and the methyl is at N position. Okay, we'll have more examples of this later. So, thiols naman, yung thiols ay parang alcohols, pero hindi siya oxygen, instead it's an S. So, kapag thiols ang papangalanan natin, okay, imbes na, for example, propanol, if this is an O, propanol yan. Pero since it's an S, you name it a propane thiol. So, for example, ito, SH, okay, this is an ethane thiol. Okay? So, kung ganito yung system of naming mo, make sure that the SH is included or at the position 1 of the chain. Pwede rin kasing magbago yung positioning ng SH. For example, like this. Okay? So, kung ganito, nasa position 2 siya ng chain, okay, you can call this 2-thiopropane. Okay? So, this 2-thiopropane, okay, is different sa propane thiol. So, this is the propane thiol. Okay? You don't specify the position of the thiol because you assume that it is always at position 1. Pero kapag 2-thiopropane, you know that the SH group is at the carbon 2 of the propane. Okay? Sulfides. So, sulfides are like ethers. So, meron din tayong symmetric and asymmetric sulfides. So, tulad lang din ng pagpapangalan natin dun sa mga ethers. Halimbawa, kung ether to, okay, yan, kung ether yan, this will be a dipropyl ether. Okay? So, since sulfide siya, okay, since S siya, dipropyl pa rin, and then sulfide. So, pakilagyan na lang ng space. So, kailangan ng space dyan. Ito, correction, okay? So, that's how you name sulfides. So, for amines, there are primary, secondary, and tertiary. So, na-discuss ko na to kanina. So, how do you name primary amines? So, kapag primary amine, kapag ka ganito, okay, pag hexanamine, kapag ganito kasi ang naming, you assume that the amine group is at position 1 kasi hindi na ni-specify ng name yung position. Pero, halimbawa, you have this amine. Okay? So, pwede mo tong i-name na i-assume mo na yung NH2 ay substituent. So, that's 2-aminobutane. Okay? The amino here is a substituent of the butane na alkane. Okay? So, that's how you treat amines. Kung siya ba yung main functional group or you treat it as a substituent. So, nakadepende yan sa iyong style ng naming or sa choice mo na naming. Secondary. So, kapag secondary amine na, pipiliin mo yung longest chain. So, dito sa dalawa, the longer chain is the propyl chain. Okay? So, ang gagawin mo, this methyl group is a substituent attached to the N. Okay? So, N-methyl, kasi yung methyl mo ay nakatouch dun sa N, propanamine because this is a propanamine. Okay? So, this happens kapag ka yung nitrogen mo ay nasa dulo ng bawat isang chain. Okay? This happens kapag ka ganun yung situation. Okay? There are more complex ways of naming amines kapag ka may mga substituents na yung chains. Okay? So, we'll see about that later. Okay? So, kapag tertiary naman, okay, halimbawa, ito, the longest chain is the or the propanamine again. So, you name this propanamine. The two shorter chains, the 2-methyl is an N dimethyl. So, dalawa yung methyl group sa N. So, you assign this like you assign substituents sa mga carbon. Diba? Kapag ka halimbawa, naglalagay tayo ng ganito. 1, 2. So, that's 2 dimethyl butane. Diba? That's an example kapag ka nakakita tayo ng dalawang methyl group sa iisang carbon. So, that's 2,2-dimethyl butane. Pero since nakakita tayo ng dalawang methyl sa iisang N dito sa compound na to, you name this as N, then the dimethyl, and then the name of the amine because of the longest chain. N-dimethyl propanamine. So, that's how you name amines. Okay? So, we have examples here. So, for number 1 is a carboxylic acid. So, the position here is 1, 2, 3, 4. Priority again, carboxyl group. So, that would be 2 chloro, okay, butanoic acid. Okay? So, that's 2 chlorobutanoic acid. Number 2. Okay? Number 2 is an acid anhydride. And it is asymmetric. So, merong mga substituent yung bawat isang acyl group. So, we'll consider them. So, dito, hindi mo kailangan mamili ng longer chain. So, pwede mong piliin yung isa from the left, then you go to the right. So, ako, gagawin ang gagawin ko. Halimbawa, this is 1, 2, 3, 4. So, 2 methyl, okay, butanoyl, okay, so that's for this chain, okay, and then punta naman tayo sa next. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this chain contains methyl groups at 3 and 4. So 3, 4 dimethyl, okay, since it contains 6 carbons, hexanoate. Okay, so 2-methyl butanoyl, 3,4 dimethyl hexanoate. Okay, so punta tayo sa next. So sa next natin ay amine. Pero merong isopropyl group na nakakabit dun sa N. So how do we name this? Okay, so name muna natin yung 1, 2, 3. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. And this is N. Okay, 4. So, anong unahin natin? Alphabetical pa rin. So, mauna si chloro before the isopropyl. So, 3, chloro, N, okay, isopropyl, okay, since 4 carbons, butanamide. Okay, so that's how you name this compound. So, next, this is an acid chloride na may chlorine at bromine substituent. So, again, pili tayo na number 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So, 2 chloro, okay, and 3 bromo. Okay? So, unahin natin si bromo kasi siya yung letter B. So, sulat na natin yung name. Okay? So, 3 bromo, okay, 2 chloro, okay, so it has 4 carbons, butanoyl chloride. Okay, so that's the name of this compound. Number 5, so familiar na to kasi may example tayo nito. It's an N dimethyl. Okay, so 1, 2, 3 propanamine. Okay, this is an amine, hindi siya amide. Okay, it's just a tertiary amine. Okay, so ito naman, unahin natin to. Okay, mga substituents. So mauna si chloro. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the longest chain. So this is 2 chloro and isopropyl. Okay, 4 again, butanamine. Okay, because this is an amine. Number 7, okay, meron tayong thiol. So what's the longest chain? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So this is a thiol group. This is a methyl group. So 3 methyl, okay, 2 thiopentane because of the 5 carbons. So that's the name of this compound. Last, okay, meron tayong sulfide. Okay, so ito ay cyclopentyl. This is a cyclohexyl. So ano ang una? P or H? Siyempre yung H. So ang gagawin natin, cyclohexyl space, okay? Kailangan natin ng space. Cyclopentyl sulfide. Okay? So that's how you name carboxylic acids, derivatives, and amines, thiols, and sulfides. So more examples sa next video.